Hey guys, what's up? This is DCD19, and today I'm going to be doing a mixed-use / gaming PC build for $650. So talking about pure performance on this build, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple programs and see how they run on this computer. So starting out, of course, with Minecraft, which is not a very difficult game to run at all, and this PC has no problem running it on full settings on Minecraft 1.7.3 single player. So averaging about 190 frames per second, this PC has no problem running this game even when you do some more complex redstone contraptions. So for Minecraft, it is a very good PC, of course completely overkill for the game, but it can definitely run it well. Now moving on to Battlefield 4, which is certainly a much more graphically intensive game than, say, Minecraft. It came out in 2013 and it was riddled with bugs. However, now they've got it pretty much figured out. However, this computer is able to run it on high settings at about 55 frames per second on 1080p. Additionally, it is able to run it on Ultra at about 40 frames per second. However, it gets a little slow sometimes, so I would recommend keeping it on high. However, for this AAA title, Battlefield 4, it is able to keep up really well, and the game looks absolutely spectacular. So starting off this build, we're going to be using an Intel i3-4130 processor. So taking a look at the details about this chip, it is based on the new Haswell architecture from Intel. It is a 22 nanometer chip, and additionally it clocks up to 3.4 gigahertz. It is a non-overclockable chip, so that means you're going to be stuck at that 3.4 gigahertz. Dual core chip, 3 megabytes of L3 cache, and finally it has HD 4400 integrated graphics, which is a nice option, say if your graphics card fails. The reason I chose this chip versus other offerings from Intel and AMD is due to the fact that it has excellent single-threaded performance. Though you would think that many games are optimized for 2 or more cores, most are not, and are really only single-threaded in a lot of cases. So that's why this chip is excellent, because it's able to play a lot of games very well on simply 2 cores. Additionally, it looks as if it's 4 cores to the operating system due to Intel's hyper-threading. However, if you want to do more advanced things that take advantage of cores like Premiere, Photoshop, AutoCAD, things like that, then I would take a look at the FX 6300 from AMD. However, this processor, the Intel i3-4130, is going to run you about $115 and will make an excellent processor for this build. So for our GPU, we're going to be using an AMD R7-260X. Specifically, we're going to be using a Gigabyte GV-R726XWF2 2GD Radeon R7-260X. It features 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM, a 128 gigabyte PCIe bus. It is a really good card for the price. It's based on a rebranding of the 7790 chip. So all for about $140. This is a solid GPU for the price. For our motherboard, we're going to be using an MSI B85M P33. This is based on LGA 1150, which is compatible with our 4th generation Haswell processor. It features a PCIe 3.0, which is also very good for our GPU. A couple things to keep in mind with this motherboard is it is a micro ATX motherboard, which means it's a smaller form factor, so it's going to be definitely smaller than a ATX motherboard, which will be a lot bigger. This is not to scale. So it's going to be smaller, and my thinking behind this is that by having a smaller motherboard and doing an entry-level gaming / everyday PC, you're probably going to want a smaller build. Additionally, it only has 2 RAM slots. Those do feature up to 1600 megahertz. You can have a maximum of 16, still plenty for everyday tasks. Additionally, it only has 1 PCIe 3.0 slot and only 2 SATA 6 gigabits per second slots, or whatever you want to call them. So it does have its limitations. However, for about $70, it is a perfect motherboard for this build. So for our RAM, we're going to be using 8 gigabytes of Kingston HyperX Blue RAM. This is clocked at 1600 megahertz or mega transfers, and it comes in 2 sticks of 4 gigabytes, which allows us to use dual channel mode on our motherboard, which will give us some increased speed. Additionally, it's XMP compatible, which means we can basically plug it in and go into our BIOS, change a setting, and we're good to go. For $73, this should be some fast, reliable RAM for this build. So for our hard drive, we're going to be using a Western Digital Caviar Blue 7200 RPM 1TB hard drive. So this should give you plenty of speed, of course not SSD speeds, but it's plenty of storage, it's reliable, and best of all, it's only $60. So for our PSU, we're going to be using a Corsair Builder Series CX430. So it is 430 watts, which should be plenty for this build. Additionally, it's 80 plus bronze certified, which means it should be relatively efficient. It should be a decent power supply. It's very reliable. You can check out the reviews on Amazon, but plenty of power, plenty of reliability, a very good power supply overall. All for about $40. This will make an excellent power supply for this build. So for our chassis/case, we're going to be using a Rosewill dual fan micro ATX mini tower computer case with a model number FBM/01. So this is a micro ATX case which fits with our motherboard. It does feature 2 fans and it's only $30. It offers some good features, only 2 USB 2.0 ports, which is pretty acceptable at this price point. It's a pretty good case. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can complain about, decent looks, it's got everything we need, and those 2 fans will really come in handy. So micro ATX, it's going to be small, but it's also going to be more portable and lightweight. So for this build, at $30, this will be an excellent case. So finally, as to a disk drive, this is completely optional. I still think it's necessary for a lot of things, however, it's pretty archaic and it's definitely becoming obsolete. However, I will definitely be using one, and if you want to, my recommendation is the Asus 24X DVD RW serial ATA drive. So it should be good enough burner, or it should be fast enough, anything you need, primarily for my case, installing Windows. And it'll run you about $23. If you can find a cheaper DVD drive, that would be perfectly acceptable, as they're generally pretty reliable. You don't really have to pay a whole lot for them. This is not Blu-ray, but at this price, you shouldn't really expect that. So for $23, this should be a plenty good DVD drive for this build. So finally, for our OS, you can run Linux, you can Hackintosh it if you want, but for all intents and purposes, most people are going to go with Windows, and we have 2 choices, Windows 8.1, Windows 8, actually we have 3 choices, and Windows 7. If you don't like the whole modern UI, Metro, everything like that, Windows 7 is a safe choice. However, I personally will be going with Windows 8.1 for this build, just because it's the latest, it's going to be updated for the longest time, and most importantly, it's the fastest running on any hardware, which shouldn't be a problem in this case anyway. This is included in the price, so the total brings it up to $658, which is within the range of $650. And I do think that this OS is necessary. A lot of people don't include it in the builds as their total price, but honestly, it really is necessary for most people. So, there we have it. There's our build. I'm going to go ahead and put it all together and get back to you in a little bit. Here we go. So I just assembled a PC, and it is a really quiet, and it runs really cool. I spent about an hour on cable management alone, and that is something about this build. You're going to probably want to spend a lot of time on cable management simply because it's a micro ATX build. However, it's really worth that extra time, and the build runs really, really well. Everything that I've thrown at it runs excellent. It's actually a good-looking build. It's small form factor, and I really, really like it so far. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think that this is a really good build, and if you're considering a PC build for about $650, this is a really good option. Of course, prices are always changing, so you might want to check out those links before you do anything, as a lot of things such as script mining has changed prices a lot recently. However, that's pretty much it, guys. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. I spent a lot of time putting this together. So anyways, guys, till next time, have a nice day.